what I'm talking about. All right. I couldn't wait to get him on, man, because here's a guy that's seen it all, done it all. And when a city like this wins something like this, and now you're 60 minutes away from winning a Super Bowl for the second time in 8 years, 3 NFC championships in that 8 years. That's 3 Super Bowl appearances. Our good friend Angelo Cataldi joins us now, and I can't wait to hear him. Angelo, I mean, the city's it's nuts right now, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. It's these mobs that you have in Cottman and Frankfurt and all these major thoroughfares around Philadelphia, they actually have to literally put grease on the poles so people won't crawl up and kill themselves. That's how insane it gets here. And there's not a city in America where this means more than it means right here in Philadelphia right now. KC is a good football town, don't get me wrong, but they've had enough of these lately. This is their third in a row, whatever. No, this is ours, and the greatest moment of all is less than 2 weeks away when the Eagles smoke the Chiefs, and Andy Reid is on the sideline doing the voodoo thing that they're paying the money for, that stupid commercial. And he's on the sideline, and Mahomes is there, and he's flopping on the side. Oh, where were the officials when we needed them this time? And let me just to start here, Dan, let me congratulate the National Football League for what is a remarkable record. The officials called more penalties against the Bills than the Chiefs yesterday, thereby extending the streak of favorable officiating to 12 consecutive playoff games. And that doesn't include the ridiculous decisions on the replays. The ball hits the ground. No, it didn't hit the ground. It's a good catch. Dan, and here's the best part. This Eagles team, though I misread them spectacularly at the beginning, acknowledged this Eagles team is a lot better than the Chiefs, and they're going to beat the crap out of them in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Words, there's going to be a parade in Philadelphia because they're not going to be able to stop Saquon Barkley or that running game. They couldn't stop the Bills when the Bills got back in the game, and the Bills don't have half the running game the Eagles do. They're about to get a rude awakening in the city of Kansas City, and I can't wait.
Angelo, did they not have the best team, or how about this, the better roster in 22 like they do now? They had the better roster. Why is this team, in your opinion, different than that 22 team?
This team is better. All right, this team didn't have cornerback like Quinyon Mitchell. They did not have Cooper DeJean at the safety position. This is the best Eagles team in the time I've been in Philadelphia. That's over 40 years. This is the best team, all right? This team has great receivers, great running back, Hall of Fame running back. They got a terrific offensive line. They were doing all that running yesterday, missing one of their guys. First, they were missing Cam Jurgens. Then they were missing Landon Dickerson. And they still totally dominated the run game. Barkley, I think, had 8 yards of carry. He only carried it 15 times. Yep. No, this Eagles team is better than 2022. And there's one other factor that makes them a lot better. This team has a defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who has a clue what he's doing. Jonathan Gannon blew that game in the second half. They couldn't stop. They just could not stop Mahomes. That will not happen to Fangio. And that's why the Eagles are going to win the game. And it's going to be a great – and I don't even give a damn about the officials because the Eagles are so much better. They're going to beat them anyway. It's not going to matter. Taylor Swift is going to be up in the luxury box writing sad songs in the fourth quarter because the Eagles are going to be kicking Travis Kelce's ass.
Do you agree, Angelo, if they fulfill the deal here by winning this Super Bowl? Number one ranked defense, you just mentioned it. I mean, the player development. Look at Nolan Smith arriving. Oren Burks parachutes out of nowhere and has 9 tackles in the game. Is this not better, in your opinion, than what even Gang Green did That's hard for me to say with Jerome and Reggie and Wes and Andre and Seth and all them guys and Clyde. I know, man, it's an electric. They won the Triple Crown for defense. But don't you agree? If they fulfill the prophecy here and they win in 2 weeks in the Super Bowl, how's this not the greatest defense in Eagle history?
You're going to have a hard time convincing me that gangrene defense with Reggie and Jerome and those guys wasn't the best. It's the best I've ever seen. The difference between that defense and this one is the defense, Buddy Ryan and even a couple of years with Kotite, were that those guys struck fear.
They did.
They were turnover machines.
Yep.
They weren't happy beating you. They wanted to throttle you. The body bag game. They wanted to beat the hell out of you. This team is good that way, but it's not that ferocious. It's a little more bend with don't break than they thought back then. That's the biggest difference. But this is a better defense than Mahomes has seen this year.
Oh, yeah.
By a wide margin. And Mahomes is preparing for the defense he saw 2 years ago when that milquetoast Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator. Oh, is he going to get shocked when he sees? Because they're coming after him, right? They're coming after him. And I'll tell you something else. I think Mr. Big Play is going to be back in that Super Bowl for one more look. Brandon Graham stripped Brady, and don't be shocked if he doesn't strip Mahomes at some point. This is going to be the greatest day in my life as a sports fan when the Eagles beat that jackass Andy Reid and Mr. Flopper Patrick Mahomes. I'm telling you. And, you know, the only thing I'm doing here is stirring stuff up from the sidelines now because I am not on the radio anymore, but I've been doing a bunch of hits and I'm writing my web. I wrote a new blog on my blog post today. Go to AngeloCataldi.com. And I just can't wait. I'm counting the days now because what happened yesterday was almost silly.
Yeah.
It was when Frankie what's his name?
Louvu.
But when he was hurtling over to try to stop the tush push, then and they couldn't do it. They didn't know what to do. It exposed them. They practiced for a week, and all they came up with was, well, let's get the linebacker and see if he can hurdle over the center and get to Hurts. Well, yeah, but that's called offside. It doesn't work. And did you ever in your life, and you played the game there, did you ever hear the officials say, look, if they keep doing this, we're just going to give the Eagles a touchdown?
I know. I didn't even know that rule existed. I never heard that before. He goes, if they do it 2 more times, we're going to give them the 7. I went, that's a rule? Angelo was like one of those rules that you're on a schoolyard and somebody goes, if you do it again, I'm giving them the touchdown. I thought they made it up right there on the set. There.
And the first play from scrimmage by the Eagles, God. They've been working a whole week to somehow slow down Barkley. First play from scrimmage, 60 yards for a touchdown. You knew it was over right there.
Did you not feel this? If you were Washington, you were so jacked up coming in the game. He touches the ball, and to me, I kind of felt an exhale from the Commander's sidelines. I was like, wait a minute. How does that not take your breath away when you go, yeah.
Wow. I mean, it was really over. Then it was just a question of, while they're not stopping Barkley, they have no clue for the tush. What have they been practicing all week? And here's the bottom line. They're not nearly as good. They're talented. They're young. They might get better. But right now, they're no match for the Eagles. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure anybody is. I don't think the Lions would have beaten the Eagles. The Eagles they have balance. They have talent just about at every position. And the coordinators are doing a great job. And that's it. That's all you need.
How about this, Angelo? I think the game was set by 2 people yesterday. And I know the obvious people are going to go Barkley and Hurts, but I'm going to go here. Man, I'll tell you what I saw that I just, for an old guy like me and an old football guy like me, the way Dickerson and Cam Jurgens went out there and put their ass on the line, they guys, you saw Dickerson being helped off the field, barely walking. Yeah. Jurgens could barely bend over. And those two guys were out there just playing their asses off. And to me, they ran for 230 yards, like you said. I thought Tyler Steen played all good. The coach on that sidelines, man, Vic Fangio in the booth and Jeff Stoutland over there on the sidelines.
Wow.
I got to tell you, Angelo, those two guys, Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, I think they set the tone for what that beating was going to be on Sunday because they played with everything on the line.
Dead on, as always, Dan. And here's the best part of it. I'm going to incorporate a hero from our recent past. They learned it. Jurgens and Dickerson learned it from a guy named Jason Kelsey, who didn't miss a game for 10 seasons, 11 seasons. Didn't miss a game. And Jurgens wanted to play, wouldn't let them deactivate him. He wanted to be there if something happened. And when it did, bang, he's in the game. He's worried about, we're not going to have a third-string center. I'll come in the game and I'll battle through it. And Dickerson, you saw how much he gave you. And you know what? They got 2 weeks to heal. And 2 weeks from now, with the great training staff the Eagles got, good luck, Chiefs. And I'm focused on one thing now. You got to understand what it was like for me. I did 33 years on the radio every morning, all those years. And then we got to the guy I hated the most, Andy Reid, in my final week of my career. And they blew it in the second half. And I went away discouraged. And now, 2 years later, as strictly a fan, I could see all of that avenged in one wonderful night in New Orleans, Louisiana. Oh, are you kidding me? This is perfect.
I love it. I love it. Angelo, please help me here, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Sirianni. Hey.
Notice I left him out. I know. That was on purpose.
I couldn't leave it without
right.
Angelo, listen. I'm with you, but then I'm like, shit, if this guy wins here, man, I don't know, man. You got to start going like this, Angelo. I mean,
look, I'm not ready to do any of that. I know he's trying now to call out his dissenters because he's got this amazing record and all. All I'll say is this, as a tribute to my grandfather, the great Nicola Chulo, who often used this term for me. I still think Sirianni is a stunad. But he's our stunad.
I got it.
Stupid. That means stupid. And when the Eagles win, yeah, he will have a big moment. And then a couple of years from now, he'll try to do what Doug Peterson did, and they'll cash him out.
And see, but don't you think it's more about how the organization is built? He didn't build this culture. He didn't build any of this. This is stuff that was set in place 10 years prior to that. And so I have a hard time doing this. Look at what he's done in the locker room. I'm like, that locker room has been like that for 14 years, man. I mean, it's been like that. What is the one thing that he brings to it? I mean, I'm still in search of that.
I don't know. Maybe a tightly cropped beard. I'm not sure what it is. Here's what I can tell you. All right. If you're looking around for somebody to give the ultimate credit for what you're seeing right now, there's only one guy, and that's Howie Roseman. Because Howie not only had the greatest draft of his career, not only had his best free agency of his career, but he picked players who had a winning pedigree. He had those kids from Georgia, Alabama. He's bringing people onto the team that have the character to win big games. And that's what you're going to see in the Super Bowl. You're going to see a team that is fully committed to that. This Hurts stuff that's been going on. All I know about Hurts is he wins. Yesterday, turnover battle. The Eagles won 4-0. You're not going to win a playoff game if you don't. If the other team is, you are going to win a playoff game if the other teams turn it over 4 times and you're not. You're just going to every time, and they're going to keep protecting the ball, and they're going to win the game just by grinding it out. Hand the ball off. knock the snot out of the defensive line, and win the game. And that's the Eagles' formula for the year, and it's working great. I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying this. Yesterday was my favorite day since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I mean, that's 7 years ago. So it's 7 years. That was just fun because I never felt threatened. The Commanders were up 3-0, and I went, nothing. That'll be nothing.
Angelo, let me show you how close the game was. This is a coin I'm going to flip. Heads. That's it. The game was over after the coin flip.
Right.
I mean, it was.
It was great. Now, yeah, in all honesty, I have one main fear, and that is that the officials who have been so one-sided for 4 years now are going to continue to do that in the Super Bowl. But this time, it might be ref-proof because the Eagles are a lot better than they were 2 years ago, and the Chiefs aren't as good as they were 2 years ago. And we should be able to see that, and we should be able to have a celebration this time.
You think this roster is better than the 17 roster?
Yeah, it's deeper. I said it's the best one I've seen in 40 years because it's got great people in most of the places on the field. And they're holding up. They're holding up. Like you said, Dean goes down and you bring in another guy who plays really well. Bond. Nobody thought Bond is going to be this good. Bond is insanely good. All he does is force fumbles, make big tackles, open field tackling. And it's just, it's almost like you're living a dream. It's almost like this year to me, after my awful prediction. All right, I predicted 5 wins. Boom.
I predicted 9, so I'm right with you.
I know, 9's a hell of a lot better than 5. You realize if they win the Super Bowl, the Eagles will have 4 wins just in the postseason. That's a bad prediction. But I have fallen back in love because I love a team that's as good as this one. And they showed it yesterday, and they're going to show it again in 2 weeks. I have full confidence that those coordinators will have a great game plan and they'll win the game.
Angelo, help me what makes the Philadelphia Eagles more of a community team and more of a community pride team than, say, the Sixers, the Phillies, or the Flyers. The Flyers maybe back in the mid-'70s, obviously what they brought, because that's truly the only dynasty you've ever had was when they won those back-to-back Flyer titles with Bobby Clark and them guys and Bernie Perrant. Let me ask you this. I mean, what makes that? Is it just a football town, a pro football town?
It is. No.
Why is that team like Jerome told me this story? He walked down, he was walking, he got hurt one time, and he didn't show up to the stadium. He heard every house had the window open in September, and everybody had the game on. He never missed a game, and he's walking down the street, a house that he lived with Keith Byers and them guys, and he goes, "You never miss a game because if you walk down the street, everyone's got the televisions on." What separates that with that team?
The evolution of it is kind of interesting. It was a really good football town before Buddy Ryan, right? So that would have been up into the mid-'80s. It was a really good football town. But there were games where they were not fully sold out. TV stations had to buy up the tickets so the game wouldn't be blacked out. And then Ryan came in, and he connected with the blue-collar element of the city, phenomenally so. And parents, like the older guys, right?
More than Vermeil?
More than anyone.
More than Vermeil?
Because he was a braggadocious, loud man. Dick Vermeil, great man and a great coach, but he's more West Coast cool.
Yes.
No, that wasn't Buddy. Buddy was slug it out. I want to punch everyone in the face. That resonated. So then the dads and the granddads who loved that shtick, they handed it down to the kids. I wrote in my thing today, a lot of kids in the next 2 weeks are going to learn how to spell because they're going to hear E-A-G-L-E-S so often. It'll be the first word they spell. And
unless you're the mayor.
A year later, unless the mayor, she'd never pick it up. A year or so later, they'll pick up Dallas Sucks because that's the second thing we're going to teach the kids. But it's handed down, Dan. It's handed down the way a love for other teams isn't, right? It's not. It's just so generational. And I saw that in so many people that called us over the years to talk about it. And when the Eagles won in 17, for days we got calls from people saying, my dad was on his deathbed and he hung on until he could see the Eagles win the Super Bowl. and he died with a smile on his face. And that is deeper than it is for the other sports. I'm not saying it isn't good for the other sport, but it's really there for the Eagles. And that's why the city went nuts last night, and it's going to be even better in a couple of weeks. A lot better.
In your opinion, it's kind of like when the Red Sox broke the curse of Ruth, and it's kind of like when Chicago won their World Series. That that town when in 1960, everyone always hung around the 1960. So when the 17 title meant so much to everybody, it was a generational thing. It's funny now, kids now in this generation don't know horrible Eagle football. So now all of a sudden they're expecting it. It's the second Super Bowl in 3 years. And now you have your third Super Bowl appearance in 8 years. I mean, the generation today, they don't know how horrible they were back in the days prior to Vermeil.
So true. So true. I mean, they had great teams in the 40s. They had a great team in 60. And then there was a long drought. And then they were bad until Andy Reid came along and got them winning. They had some, but they kept falling short. And then they finally got over the hump. And now they got, it took Howie Roseman a long time to figure out how to do it, but now he's the best GM in all of sports. And you're seeing it right now with that roster.
Boy, I'll tell you, you made a comment, and I had Marcus Hayes on a couple of days after you, and I brought up your comment to him. I said, Angelo believes that he should be the highest paid general manager in any sport.
Yes.
I mean, and he's like, I never looked at it that way, but he's probably right that, I mean, with the amount of winning and how they're doing it, there's no question, though. It goes back to the owner putting the money up front and how they do those contracts. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting this offseason, Angelo, and how they go forward here. I don't think he ever leaves. I'm with you. He's got a Hall of Fame run going on now where he could possibly get in like a Bobby Beathard did, Bobby Beathard did when he was in D.C. But, man, I'll tell you, I mean, he has got to be in line to be the highest paid general manager in any sport.
Well, one of the highest is Daryl Morey, and he stinks. He's the Sixers general manager. So
what has he done? What has he ever won?
And speaking of the Sixers, my one regret is there was never a moment when there could have been a focus on Joshua Harris, the owner of the Commanders, who also is the owner of the Sixers, because that would have been epic. All right. But I'll say this, and I just heard this for the first time today. If Jeff Lurie were to buy the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, by the way, he's the last. I think there's 3 people that have made it to the final cut. And he's one of them.
Let me just say, all right, first of all, that's quite a step up from last year when all he purchased was a new yacht. Right. So now he's up to buying another team. But to say that won't play well in Philly is an understatement, because we hate the Celtics more than any other basketball team. That's the long rivalry going. Wait, no. If that happens, his 30-year honeymoon in Philly is over. Jeff Lurie is going to be persona non grata. He better not do that. I'm hoping he does. And he better not be announced during the next 2 weeks to ruin our mojo. No ruining any Philly mojo. Wait till this is done. Buy your team after this.
Now you know why he sold the percentage of the team.
Yeah.
Because he got $6.8 billion off that 10% that he sold. Yeah. That's going to go towards the buying price.
Yes.
And that's why he did it. So he's taken with the wealth of the team and what the team was evaluated at, sold it to those hedge fund guys, got the $6.8 billion so he can go buy the Celtics. I can't think how that's going to go over.
I'm glad this came up, because I know you're very wealthy yourself, right? Not to a point where you would buy a team. How much money is enough for a billionaire? Like, if you have a team that's worth $7 or $8 or $9 billion, do you need to make another investment? Are you going, wow, how are my kids going to eat? I better purchase something new? Relax. The man's in his mid-70s. Yeah, why's he got to buy another freaking team for? Enjoy what you got. You got
that team.
I mean, that you got to buy one of our biggest rivals and tick us off at a time when we love you more than we ever have? No. And the worst case scenario, worst case, God forbid, because I always think that way. Eagles lose to the Chiefs, and then he buys the Celtics. Oh, don't do that. Do not do that in Philadelphia, Dan. That's not good. That would be a problem.
Every sports team in Philly congratulated the Eagles for winning the NFC, except the Sixers. Right. I'm just curious how you take that one there too.
Well, my sources are telling me he was too busy checking his bank book. He didn't have time today to write up, congratulations thing. The guy's a snake. What else can I tell you? All right, the guy's, you said it, carpetbagger is the perfect word. He comes in from outside, tells you he's a local when he's not, and does it strictly for money and counts every penny, fleeces the basically Comcast out of $200 million so he could get his arena down at the sports complex. The guy is not good. You understand? And one other thing, he's not a good owner. Never won a damn thing with the Sixers. Never won a damn thing with the Devils. I hope, for his sake that he does better with the Commanders. But I don't know. I think he'll find a way to screw that up too, even with Daniels. It was great to see him fall on his smug face yesterday. I loved it.
Two last questions here for you. Angelo, help me why you have a problem with Andy. Why do you have a problem with Andy Reid? I mean, I know, hey, look, I'm not going to keep you really longer, but I know you could probably go 3 hours on why you don't like this guy. But what is the one thing that makes you go sideways with Andy Reid?
He's a fraud. Look, I interviewed enough coaches and managers to know fraud. This guy would never answer. This is 14 years. Never answered a question with honesty and sincerity in 14 years. He was a program robot. And in all those years, he constantly would pay homage to the fans and say how much he loved them, but never enough to answer simple questions about things he did in games. Back when he was with the Eagles, he mismanaged the clock a ton. And there were tons of questions. He never gave you a straight answer.
So he panders. He panders to the fans.
But he's not honest. And then to see now how he's become this boob on advertising, this charming, jolly, fat old man, right? When in reality, he's none of that. It's all about the national image of Andy Reid is 100% wrong. I saw him for 14 years. I know what makes him tick. He's a phony. And guys like that, guys that aren't respectful to the fans in this town, they just turn to dirt to me. And I attacked them. And I attacked them for 14 years here. Because he, not only did he never win a championship here, but he never gave you a straight answer. That's why I hate Andy Reid. There's a lot of other reasons. Don't get me wrong. But that's the big reason. He lied. He lied with a smile on his face, and he never gave a damn about the fans in this town. And that's why he's going to get his ass kicked in 2 weeks.
You must have a problem then with this game on Super Bowl Sunday then between Sirianni and Reid. It must.
I know I don't, because
it'd be like two family members. You sit here and you just get the newspaper like my grandpa used to. And every time they pass the gabagool around, we got the newspaper up and we're just reading the newspaper.
I don't have a problem at all because Sirianni is just standing there like the village idiot on the sideline. The guys making the coaching decisions are Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and they have earned my trust and respect. They have done great jobs as coordinators. Michael Clay has always been a good special teams guy. He has no direct bearing on the coaching of the Eagles in the game. So Sirianni can just stand there, and I'll know when the plays are coming in, they're coming in from Moore or they're coming in from Fangio. And that's enough. And that's the way I look at it. I barely even acknowledge his existence anymore because it depresses me.
Finally here, what would a Super Bowl mean to what Jalen Hurts has done since he's been the starting quarterback in Philadelphia?
Well, since there's always this argument that Donovan McNabb is the greatest Eagle quarterback of all time, despite the fact he won no rings, I would have to assume that it would raise Hurts up to the plateau where Nick Foles is. And Foles was at the game yesterday because Foles did win it for Philadelphia. And the fact that Hurts is a regular quarterback, not a replacement, not a backup guy who came in and did it, he will probably rise to the level of the greatest quarterback in Eagles history because he will have won the Holy Grail, the championship. And, you know, again, I got into this with my wife. She says, he seems arrogant to me. And I said, no, he's not arrogant. He was trained by a coach. His father's a coach. And his father taught him not to give anything up to the media. You don't have to. No. Just do your thing. Just be yourself and don't worry about this other stuff. He never gives you a lie. He never lies to a question. He just doesn't give you a lot of personality with it. Hey, I'm seeing this guy. He hasn't given up many turnovers lately. He's playing solid ball. And when they needed him to make a throw yesterday, did he make a throw? Yes, he did. Yeah, no.
He was great yesterday. Probably his best game of the year. He had it in the most important game of the year.
I expect him to be even better at the Super Bowl because he's smart and he's focused and he knows what to do. I have a lot of faith in Jalen Hurts.
Would you put him, if he wins this Super Bowl, because of what you told me of what this Super Bowl means to that city, would you put him up there with, you know, the people that have performed in that city since the Super Bowl era, which is 68, I think? Would you put him in that Bobby Clark kind of position?
He would be in that pantheon.
In that place there with Mike Schmidt and them guys?
He would be in that pantheon. And you got to understand that even like Mike Schmidt, it's not like people are head over heels in love with him. His personality wasn't something that really resonated with the town either. But he won, and he was the greatest third baseman ever lived. Yeah. So, yes, Hurts is on the cusp. He's one win away from winning some of the biggest prizes you can win as an athlete in Philadelphia. Yep. He's got to win this one last game. And damn it, if those refs, I'm saying this right now, Dan, if those refs, if they steal it.
Allen got that first down. He got that first down, and they didn't give it to him.
He got it. You're 100% right. And the catch that they ruled on the big throw, that was not a catch. That ball hit the ground.
It did.
I know they both had it. The ball hit the ground, and they didn't call it because it was the Chiefs. And if that happens, I'm prepared to go against what I said before and fly to New Orleans, even though I hate New Orleans, and confront those people face to face at the airport. So, boys, I'm warning you now. Call it fair. Call it fair. We need a parade of this town.
Angelo knows people who knows people, and I know people who know people. So
you know people.
Hey, if I have to give you $100 to keep it fair, I will.
Right. I used to not earlier. I have other Italian terms if I need them.
Yeah.
Consider that a threat.
Angelo, I got a cousin that does this. I go, what are you doing? He goes, hey, you know, you got about 2 minutes to get in that hole there. That's what I'm doing. Hey, thank you so much.
Dan.
I thought of you yesterday, man. I was wondering what you were thinking when they were just mowing the Commanders down like that. And now they look like the team, man. If they play the way they did yesterday, I can't see how Kansas City stays in this game. They are clearly the better roster. And they're playing their best ball in the most important time of the year, the last game before the game, to get into that thing. I don't know, man. I mean, I think by the way, Kansas City's a 1.5 favorite already, and I'm like, how?
People, get your money down. That's going to move. The Eagles are going to win the game outright. You have my guarantee. This comes from a man who not that long ago told you the Eagles would have 5 wins this season. So take my word seriously.
Make sure you tell them, Angelo, where they can find the blog, please. So
AngeloCataldi.com. I'm writing there, and I'm going to write a lot of nasty stuff about the Chiefs next week. But this week, I just share the joy that we're all experiencing with a phenomenal Eagles victory and another trip to the Super Bowl.
Crazy to say that. Another trip to the Super Bowl. Angelo, thank you, my friend.
My friend. Be well, Dan. Talk to you.
You bet. Our great friend Angelo Cataldi, man. We appreciate him so much. 5-win Cataldi is telling you. By the way, Gary Cobb will join us at the bottom of the hour. Hey, he made the comment, put your money down. You got it, man. Make sure you guys put your money down with our friends at BetUS. Absolutely our partners during this football time. You got the Super Bowl right around the corner for the YouTube 150. That's right. Sign-in bonuses with the YouTube 50 up to $2K. Second and third are 125% up to $2K. And if you're into crypto, that is 200%. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major ball games. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.